Welcome back to another episode of Remnant Stew. I'm your host, Steve.
And I'm Leah. It's May, and that means Mother's Day is coming up. Today we have stories about all kinds of moms, and hopefully it'll inspire you to a higher appreciation of your own mom.
If you have an appetite for the strange and bizarre, then pull up a chair and grab a spoon for another intriguing serving of Remnant Stew. Remnant Stew is gluten-free, organic, made from all natural, free-range ingredients, and guaranteed to provide the recommended daily serving of curiosity.
Well, looking at the calendar coming up, Leah, this Saturday, May 1st, is May Day, but it's also Free Comic Book Day.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
But tell me what May Day is. I'm not sure what May Day is.
Well, May Day marks the halfway point between the first day of spring and the summer solstice. May Day dates back to the days of the Romans and involved many pagan rituals and ancient customs, which were slowly phased out with the arrival of Christianity. But more recently, May Day commemorates the struggle for fair labor practices.
Okay. The only thing I could think about May Day that I knew about May Day was like the maypole.
Right, the maypole. I think that was one of the older rituals.
Right.
I think more recently, I know it was a big deal in the old Soviet Union because they were supposedly all about the workers' rights and all that, or the worker, and so kind of has come to commemorate the struggle for labor, fair labor practices. But let's put in Free Comic Book Day.
Okay, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, this is an event organized by the North America comic book industry. It celebrates the day by giving out free comic books as a way to invite new readers into the field.
Okay, so go claim your free comic book.
Find your independent bookshop.
Now, somehow, I'm remembering a SpongeBob episode that my kids were watching, and they stole a balloon, but it turned out to be Free Balloon Day, and they were all worried about how they'd stolen it, popped, and they couldn't pay for it. So you can go steal a comic book on Free Comic Book Day, but it's actually Free Comic Book Day.
Talk to your independent bookstore first.
Now, this is a good one. May 2nd is World Laughter Day.
I can get behind that one.
Right. But on top of that, it's also World Tuna Day.
Not so much that one.
Okay, who decides this? Who was behind that? That's interesting.
I don't know, but I think the two go together.
Probably.
A while ago in Texas, there was somebody that had a play called Greater Tuna. It was about it was a comedy about a small town in Texas. So I can see how the two would go together.
I saw Greater Tuna, Red, White, and Tuna. I loved all of those plays. They were awesome.
So you see, World Tuna Day and World Laughter Day is a natural combination right there. Now, May 9th, this is a really seriously important day. It's Military Spouse Appreciation Day.
Oh, amen to that.
Yeah, for sure. This honors and emphasizes the importance of the spouses to the military. The observance wishes to spread that family support is fundamental for the success of the military. The spouses and families are silent heroes. On Military Spouse Appreciation Day, the Armed Forces organize events to honor and recognize military spouses. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan proclaimed the Friday before Mother's Day to be Military Spouse Appreciation Day. Such an important day. They really are these silent heroes of the people that go overseas and that are involved in military elsewhere, the ones that stay home and hold the family together and continue
hold down the fort.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously.
At all.
So happy Military Spouse Appreciation Day to all of you military spouses.
Right.
And, of course, coming up May 11th is Mother's Day.
So so tell me about your mom. Any
mom,
stories? I'm sure there are.
My mom was a force to be reckoned with. She passed away about 14 years ago. But I eulogized her at her funeral, and I said she was a force to be reckoned with. I tell people around me that I work with today, I said, you never met my mom, but you benefit from her every day. She one of the stories I like to tell is that she was, through all my growing up years, she worked at the county clerk's office in my hometown of Kerrville, Texas, the Kerr County Courthouse. And one year, 1973, I heard her one night calling all the other ladies in the office, and the call went like this. Lois, this is Jerry. I'm going to wear my pantsuit tomorrow. I just wanted to let you know. And she led the pantsuit rebellion at the courthouse. Up until that time, the women all had to wear dresses, and that day they showed up wearing pantsuits. And so from that point on, dresses were optional.
Power to the
optional
people.
attire. And so, I don't know if she had appreciated me telling that story at her funeral, but I think it indicates a lot of who she was. So
That's awesome. Well, okay, so the history of Mother's Day it's really interesting. Anne Reeves Jarvis was an activist during the Civil War era. Jarvis, who lived in Virginia, had somewhere between, and get this, 11 and 13 children over the space of about 17 years. And I guess they don't know for sure exactly how many kids they had, because only 4 of those kids survived to be adults. Sadly, that wasn't all that unusual for the Appalachian families at that time. And so Jarvis, pregnant with her 6th child, was inspired to help women learn to combat the childhood diseases and unsanitary conditions that led to infant death at that time. She created, and this is totally different from Mother's Day, she created Mother's Day work clubs in surrounding communities as well as in both Union and Confederate encampments. This spurred a growing public health movement in the United States. Later, after the war had ended, Jarvis she was very socially conscious.
Right.
She attempted to establish a Mother's Friendship Day, and that was to reunite families that had been divided during the Civil War.
wow, that's good.
Right? There were several local observances, but Jarvis passed away before it gained the national attention she was really hoping for. Well, according to History.com, the official Mother's Day holiday arose in the 1900s as a result of the efforts of Anna Jarvis, daughter of Anne Reeves Jarvis, who continued her mother's efforts. Anna Jarvis conceived of Mother's Day as a way of honoring the sacrifices mothers made for their children. So after gaining financial backing from a Philadelphia department store owner, in May 1908, she organized the first official Mother's Day celebration at a Methodist church in Grafton, West Virginia. So the idea slowly took off with more and more cities adopting the annual celebration until 1914. Woodrow Wilson signed a measure officially establishing the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day.
So it took
Nice.
4 years, and then it became an official day.
She really was pushing it. And her mom had really, I mean,
6, but hey.
it kind of, it all kind of snowballed into one thing of just
That's
really
impressive.
Gained
appreciating
momentum,
moms.
it seemed like.
Yeah, that's a lot of momentum.
And so that's how Anna Jarvis, a woman who never had any children, established Mother's Day as a national holiday. But by her death in 1948, Anna Jarvis had disowned the holiday. And she spent a lot of energy and money trying to convince the government to remove the holiday from the calendar.
And she did all this to try to get it on the calendar, and
That's
then
right.
wanted to get it off.
Well, she became very disillusioned and disgusted at the commercialism and actively urged people to stop buying Mother's Day flowers, cards, and candies.
Wow.
And I don't know what the tipping point was, because she had worked with florists trying to get them to promote her idea of Mother's Day, and then I guess it just got out of hand.
Thought it was too much then, somehow.
But here's a little bit of trivia, Mother's Day trivia. More phone calls are made on Mother's Day than any other day of the year. Phone traffic has been observed to spike by as much as 37%. So this is your official reminder. Call your mom.
Call your mom. Absolutely.
Appreciate them if you have them.
Absolutely. Well, now let's look at some Mother's Day observances from other countries around the world. This comes to us from an article from KSAT.com, which I believe is a television station in San Antonio. It details unusual Mother's Day traditions around the world. Cards, flowers, and restaurants aren't enough to celebrate Mom in these countries. For example, in Mexico, there is a special Mother's Day song. All across the country, mothers are awakened by their children singing a song called Las Mananitas. Here are the words of Las Mananitas in English, but I think we're losing something in the translation. But it goes like this. These are little mornings that King David used to sing, and on the day of your saint, we sing them to you. Wake up, my dear, wake up. Look, it's already dawning. The little birds are already singing. The moon has gone away. Well, it's a nice little song, but I'm not quite sure Happy Mother's Day makes that translation. But in Mexico, it's a very meaningful way for children to wake up their mothers. In Sweden, during the days before Mother's Day, children walk around their neighborhoods and they sell little plastic flowers. The flowers are provided by the Red Cross. The money that's raised from these sales is used to send their mothers on little mini vacations.
Oh, I
Nice.
like that.
That's a nice
we
one.
need to adopt that one.
Moms need a little day off, don't they? In Japan, I like this one. Children draw pictures of their mothers. These pictures are displayed in local supermarkets and in convenience stores in the neighborhood. Now, most of them are sweet childhood drawings, but sometimes a joker gets thrown into the deck as obviously older artists mix in pictures of historical figures like Mother Teresa or mythical creatures or large-eyed anime characters. But in Japan, they see it all as part of the fun of Mother's Day.
And we have some of these pictures.
Yeah, those pictures are pretty cute, I think. In Serbia, now this is a good one, there is a strong emphasis on the importance of unity and sharing in family life. For 3 straight Sundays in December, they celebrate Children's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day. These Sundays include the 2 weeks before Christmas and the one after. And they do have a religious significance. The twofold purpose of these holidays are remembering and, quote, tying.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And it's like they try to cram as much into December as they possibly can. But this remembering and tying, tell us about that.
Well,
That's
on Children's Day, the parents sneak into their children's rooms and tie them up. Sounds like a good start to the holidays, doesn't it?
I do that more often than
With all the boys you raised.
Does duct tape count? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
They won't release them until the children promise to behave.
I like it.
This
I
is
like
going
it.
well so far.
Right. How do I really know you mean it? However, the following week, the children sneak into their mother's room and tie her up.
This is no.
Going downhill now. They won't release her until she agrees to give them some kind of gift.
I gave you life.
Yeah,
What do you need?
And then the following week,
you
it's
into this
Dad's
world.
turn. Now, this good-natured fun is supposed to tie the family together and also to remind them of the Christ child, the Mother Mary, and Father God.
Right there around Christmas time. I like
right.
that. Okay.
And speaking of the Mother Mary, I think it's kind of interesting as we're talking about mothers that the account of Jesus' first miracle at the wedding was done at his mother's insistence. Yes, he said, "It's not my time yet," and she said, "Do whatever he says." So
Yeah.
even Jesus was influenced by his mother.
She's
Mother
like,
knows best.
That's right. That's right. It's your time when I say it's your time.
Right, I guess so. Now, those are some unusual Mother's Day traditions, but now how about some unusual mothers? From a YouTube video called The 10 Oddest Mothers, which was placed from a group called WatchMojo.com. Have you ever heard of Elizabeth Ann Buttle? I'm sorry, let me say that name again. Elizabeth Ann Buttle. She is the mother with the biggest gap between births.
Okay.
At age 19, Mrs. Buttle gave birth to her first child, a daughter Belinda, on May 19th, 1955. However, she didn't give birth to her second child, a boy named Joseph, until 42 years later on November 20th, 1997, when she was 61 at the time. So she had a baby when she was 19, didn't have another one until she was 61.
That I don't know how you take care of a kid, a baby at that age.
Yes.
Well,
You
the
need
night-
a lot of energy.
The one who was born when she was 19.
Yeah.
Took
Guess who
care
got-
of it.
guess who
Yeah.
has ownership now.
I mean, there are great-grandmothers that are 61, and yet she was a mother at 61.
Oh.
Well, now, even at 61, you might think, yeah, that's tough to take care of, but she's not the oldest mother that we have. You may have heard of Rajo Lohan. She is the world's oldest mother. She's from India. She gave birth to her daughter Naveen at the age of 70. We've got their picture, I think, also.
Yes, we do.
She says that she hopes to live long enough to see her daughter get married. So the
that-
oldest mother at age 70.
My daughter needs to hurry it up.
And then there's Mrs. Fedor Vasilev, the world's most prolific mother. In the 40 years between 1725 and 1765, this Russian woman is purported to have given birth to, count them, 69 children. This included 16.
That seems so impossible.
I mean, is that mathematically even correct?
Well, here's how it worked out. 16 sets of twins, 7 sets of triplets, 4 sets of quadruplets. and all of them, except for 2, were born healthy and lived beyond childhood. So she actually had
that's very
67
unusual,
children
yeah.
grow up. But according to Ms. Vasilev, do I get so much as a call on Mother's Day? Niet. Okay, I just threw that in. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you made
Yeah,
you made that up.
And now for something completely off topic and off kilter. Brace yourself for the oddity du jour.
Well, now for our oddity today, this is one I really like. This comes from a book review in the New York Times about a book called Entangled Life: How Fungi Make Our World, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Futures by Merlin Sheldrake.
Oh, wow. I bet he's fun at parties.
Just with a name like Merlin, for sure. Now, the writer of this review, her name is Jennifer Szalai, Zali. She begins by stating that most authors celebrate the completion of a new book by throwing a party or having a fancy dinner. Mr. Sheldrake, however, celebrated by dampening a copy of the book, seeding it with spores, letting oyster mushrooms sprout, and then he ate the mushrooms from the book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But that's not all.
Okay.
He took another copy of the book, tore up its pages to release their sugars, then he fermented their solution into beer, which he then consumed. So had a little mushroom and beer grown from the books that he had actually written.
So,
Well, he's all into fungi, you see. Mr. Sheldrake is an enthusiastic, I made up this word, but I couldn't think of a better one, fungophile.
I think that works.
I think so, too.
yeah, I'll take that because that was going to be the next comment.
Right. He believes that the rest of us humans pay too little attention to the amazing world of fungus. He states that fungus are everywhere and they are always doing things. That's a little bit frightening, isn't it? He claims that in Oregon you can find the world's largest fungal network, or mycelium is what they're called, or the nickname is the Wood Wide Web, which covers more than 4 square miles and is thousands of years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This is a quote from Mr. Sheldrake. Our blindness can make us miss out on some extraordinary phenomena. Fungi can distribute nutrients and even information across plants. For instance, a plant subject to an aphid attack emits a, quote, chemical shriek that can be heard by other plants in the fungal network, allowing the linked plants to prepare themselves by emitting a chemical that will summon wasps, which will then eat the aphids. Even if the cinder plant gains little or nothing by alerting its plant neighbors after the aphids arrive, the fungal network benefits by keeping the healthy plants alive.
That is very interesting. That's a very interesting concept.
Really, so the plants are communicating with each other through the fungus, and so one gets attacked, sends out a signal, the other one take defensive action to call wasps to eat the aphids. That's
well,
pretty
and
fascinating.
I think that he's and don't quote me on this because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But that fungus.
Since when has that stopped us? But go ahead.
Right. You know how? Okay, so there's grass or whatever, and they say that when you cut grass, that smell, that wonderful smell, is actually them screaming.
Yeah.
But and they're so close to each other. But like fungus is connected under the ground,
Right.
and
Through the root
like it's a
systems and
bit,
the ground
so
system.
it's like this big, like one fungus from over there can talk to this one and communicate. Maybe not
And
talk.
the plants
'cause-
can even communicate through the fungus somehow.
right, and so that's
The
makes
article-
hiking through the woods
So
a
they're
little
the
interesting.
postal system.
Yeah.
Yes,
And it's-
Yeah. Well, like they said, where was it? The
The
Wood
Wood
Wide,
Wide
Web.
Web.
At least it's at least they kept it that, not it's the fungal network.
Oh my
Fungal
goodness.
network, yeah, for sure. The article continues saying that researchers are finding new ways to put fungi to all kinds of uses. Well, it's about high time somebody did, don't you think? They
Right.
even help us clean up the planet. Fungi can be trained to eat cigarette butts, used diapers, oil spills, and even radiation. Now, fungi
Wait.
eating radiation is a little bit of a frightening thought, isn't it?
Yeah, but if they can do it, let's
They could
you-
take
we
out a
gotta-
diaper. I mean, why not radiation? I mean,
Right.
serious.
A budding field of mycofabrication, think that word, mycofabrication, which means basically making things out of fungus, has developed imitation leathers and building materials out of fungi. Sheldrake even visited a factory that turns fungal networks into furniture. Footstools instead of toadstools is their
Oh, I need to
logo.
see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you still request a toadstool?
I suppose so. Sheldrake says that paying attention to fungi can transform our fundamental understanding of the world. Here's his quote. If I think about mycelial growth for more than a minute, my mind starts to stretch.
I
So
think
there you
his
go.
mind is pretty stretched, yeah. A guy very passionate about fungi.
For sure.
Okay, so you have some time still left to buy your mother a Mother's Day gift, and we're here to help.
That's
so
right.
Here's some unusual gifts. For the mother that has everything and is hard to shop for, here we go. The folks over at dodobird.com.
Dodo Bird.
It's dodobird.com.
That's right.
They've come up with a list of odd gifts for that odd mom in your life. And I like some of these. So what does that
Right.
say about me?
Well,
Okay, so how about a burrito blanket along with a pair of burrito socks?
because this is a blanket for you that looks like a burrito or a blanket to put on your burrito.
Well, the website's description, what, to keep it warm?
Or contents inside.
Okay. My burritos don't last long enough to get cold. So, but anyway, this is a blanket for your mom. Super soft, snuggly, and warm. This blanket will put a smile on just about any mom's face. And wait a minute, burrito socks? Are you thinking? The little socks for your burrito. No, this is socks for your mom, too. If your mom loves movie marathons and Mexican food,
Well, who
this is
doesn't?
the blanket for her, thanks to its brilliantly clever burrito design. Once she's wrapped up, she will look as delicious as she does comfortable.
What does it have? Lettuce sticking out the side? Maybe some guacamole?
Actually,
Yeah.
don't we have a picture of that one?
I think, yeah, we do. And so the blanket is $39, and of course, we don't guarantee these prices. You know, socks are $15.50.
According to their website.
Currently.
The next one is so if your mom loves to cook and spend time in the kitchen, well, then what about a pair of bear paw oven mitts?
Oh, there you go.
According to the description from Fred and Friends, these hilariously funny oven mitts are just perfect for making someone laugh.
We'll be the judge of that, but go ahead.
Made using heat-resistant silicone, the mitts themselves are perfect for holding hot plates and dishes, and the best part, they look just like bear claws.
Now, you know, my school, their nickname, our mascot, is the Bears, so I know some bear mothers around that would that might enjoy some of those.
Hey,
Get your grizzly on.
and that, you can have those for $19.87. Okay, so how about brightening up Mom's living room with a set of personalized photo coasters? Whether you're still living at home or whether you're off on your own, leave your mark on her table with these photo coasters. Choose which pictures you'd like to have made into the coasters, and you can even add your own lovely captions, sure to have her smiling every time she sets her teacup down on your face.
The coaster.
That's one of the things you know when you've gotten older is when you have things nice enough that you actually need coasters. You know, all of our years of raising children, we didn't have anything that nice that we cared about.
But if you're out of the house and she
Yeah.
now has nice things.
Nice things.
Right. Okay, so how about a pair of long-distance friendship lamps? So if you live in a different state from your mom or in a different city, you might want to feel close to each other without actually having to be close to each other.
Sometimes it works better that way, doesn't it?
Well, this pair of matching lamps is for you. The way they work is these lamps are somehow synced to one another through a Wi-Fi signal. When you touch your lamp to turn it on, your mother's lamp will turn on too.
Oh, when it goes on, she knows you're thinking of her. That's
and
nice.
need money. So right? There's different styles and the prices vary. Okay, so this one I can really get behind.
Wait, I can't pay my
Oh.
rent, Mom, because I bought this lamp for you.
It's 2 a.m. and I just turned my lamp on. Sorry, Mom.
Okay, moving on. Let's say you have a mom that really likes to to sling back the vino. We might consider the Wine Cork Country Map, $35.
The Wine Cork Country
Map.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so again, according to their description, this awesome gift is only the start of an ongoing, exciting project. This fun piece of wood is shaped just like the United States of America and features cork-shaped holes that allow the recipient to display corks from the places in which they drank the wine.
Oh, here's California. Oh, here's Arizona.
By the end, they will have a wonderful art piece and an astonishing hangover. And wonderful art pieces, that's subjective.
Yeah.
So
It's a map of the United States with a bunch of corks in it is what it is. Ooh, conversation piece there.
oh, but it could be used as a trivet too.
How long did it take you? A couple months.
Couple months. That was a heck of a road trip. Well, now let's talk about some warrior moms. Well, you might not have heard that term before, but I think it applies to some of these. From livescience.com, there's an article called 12 Warrior Moms. We're not touching all of them, but we gleaned the following information. You think your mother was tough. Well, you remember King Philip II of Macedonia? He conquered much of the Mediterranean, and he married a woman named Olympias, Olympias, and she bore him a son who was Alexander the Great. Alexander became one of the most successful military commanders in history as he conquered areas stretching from the Mediterranean to the Himalayas. He probably got a lot of his grit from his mother. You see, when King Philip spurned her for another woman, Olympias plotted her revenge. She organized the murder of Philip and the other woman, as well as her child. This secured her son, Alexander, as the rightful heir to the throne.
Oh,
King
you
of
go, girl,
Macedonia.
right?
Yeah.
No,
Tough
no,
mother right there. Or how about the true story of Empress Wu Zhao? In nearly 4,000 years of Chinese dynasties, Wu Zhao was the only woman empress. She began as a young woman concubine to the Emperor Taizong. When he died, she latched on to his son Gaizong as a higher-ranking concubine, bearing him 2 sons. As Gaizong's health began to fail, Wu Zhao displaced his childless wife, some claim that she even killed the emperor's wife, and became Empress Dowager, placing her sons in line to the throne. When Gaizong died in 690 A.D., Wu Zhao consolidated power, arranged for the murder of several rivals, and ascended to the throne as the only empress of China. She reigned as empress until she was 82 when she relinquished the throne to her son.
Wow.
Wu Zhao,
She was tough.
Oh, yeah, she was pretty tough. Now, you may be a bit more familiar with Queen Isabella, the unifier of Spain. Most of us know Isabella as the queen who financed Columbus's voyage to the New World.
Right.
But there's more to learn about this mother of 6. Isabella was a driving force in unifying Spain. She straightened up her inherited kingdom of Castile, instituting criminal reforms and bringing down the debt left to her by her brother, the previous ruler. But she was rather ruthless in her efforts to unify Spain. One of her edicts was that everyone was forced to become Catholic. Jews and Muslims had to either convert or flee. In 1480, Isabella, with her husband Ferdinand, launched the Spanish Inquisition in order to force compliance with her orders. So she was a pretty tough ruler herself. We hear more about Ferdinand, but Isabella was definitely formidable in her own right.
And ruthless. I mean, all of these warrior moms are
warrior
ruthless.
moms. They earned that moniker well. Now, being the mother of a king is nice and all, but how about being the mother of 3 kings? How does that happen? We get some information here from Britannica.com as well. We're talking about Catherine de' Medici. However, she didn't get off to a very great start. Born in Italy, she was married off by her uncle, Pope Clement VII, to a French prince who was in love with another woman. That's kind of a bum go out the gate, isn't it?
Right.
She lived a precarious existence for a number of years and was generally overlooked by the French court. But when her husband became King Henry II, her oldest son, Francis, became heir to the throne. When King Henry died suddenly, Francis, age 15, ascended to the throne. However, he died just a year later, and the throne fell to Catherine's 10-year-old son, Charles. A lot of kings dying all of a sudden there.
Right.
Sounds suspicious. This gave Catherine the role of regent, which means she ruled in her young son's place until he became of age.
Right.
She ruled in his place from 1560 to 1570, when Charles came of age. This was during a time of multiple civil wars in France, and numerous factions were attempting to break away. She managed to quell these disruptions with a combination of force and diplomacy. That sounds like motherhood, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yes.
When Charles came to power, he proved to be an inept ruler, however, as in 1572, he ordered the gates of Paris closed and all non-Catholics murdered. That's not going to do well on your Chamber of Commerce tourism. The St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre, as it came to be called, threatened to bring down the monarchy. After weathering that storm, Charles died suddenly in 1574, making way for Catherine's third son, Henry, to become king. For the next 15 years, until her death in 1589, Catherine was one of Henry's most trusted advisors.
My goodness.
So, yeah, her husband and then 2 of her 3 sons all died suddenly. And you wonder if she might have had a hand in some of that, too.
Yeah, that's intriguing.
And then there is Maria Theresa, the enlightened despot of Austria. When she first hit the scene, she also didn't make much of a splash. She married her first cousin, Francis Stephen, in a marriage arranged by her father, King Charles V, in order to consolidate power. That's what the European monarchs used to do back in the day, consolidate their power by marrying off their kids to one another.
And that's where they get blue blood, right?
Upon her father's death in 1740, she inherited an Austria that was broke and under attack by other European sovereigns. Pregnant, as she would almost constantly be over the next 20 years, because she had 16 children, Maria Theresa fought back. She held on to the Austrian Empire, and during her 40-year reign would institute reforms in medicine, education, and criminal justice. She also reorganized Austria's military and helped it become one of the strongest in Europe. So there are some warrior moms to consider. When you think your mom is tough, well, consider these.
Well, I really liked her. I really liked her.
Now for today's bookshop spot, the part of the show where we take you on a virtual tour of one of the most magical of places, an independent bookshop.
Okay, so today's bookshop spot is the Auto Bookstore. That's O-T-T-O.
O-T-T-O, Auto Bookstore.
That's right. So not like a car, but
I thought it was
auto.
A-U-T-O. Okay, O-T-T-O. All right.
It's located at 107 West 4th Street in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Williamsport, that's famous for being the home of the Little League World Series, right in the middle of the state.
If you say so.
Okay.
But this bookstore is the oldest independently owned bookstore in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Along with
Really?
books, they offer stuffed animals, puppets, some games, and along with the occasional book signing. The store is also pet friendly, which is a huge
That's a
point
plus.
in my book. Right.
Okay.
They have an online store at their website, www.auto, again, O-T-T-O, bookstore.com, and you can also find them on Facebook and Instagram. Current owner Betsy Ryder knew that the store had been around a long time, and the phrase since 1877 had been used in advertisements
Really?
for the bookshop, but a few different customers kept bringing in old receipts and newspaper clippings that predated that.
Really?
Oh, wow.
1877, yeah. So, and it's funny because even one receipt, and I could see this happening to me, one receipt was found under some old linoleum that was being pulled up in a renovation.
Oops, didn't sweep there.
So Betsy's son Peter did some investigating, pulling some business records of splits and mergers, and finally traced the store's founding all the way back to 1841.
1841, so this is 2021. That's 180 years, basically.
Right. So here's the thing. So when asked if since 1841 will now replace since 1877 and all the ads, Betty said, well, looks as if. but it makes each anniversary more expensive because what they do is they give away a $100 gift certificate plus an autographed book for each year over 100.
I see.
So, but she
Nice.
says it makes more fun, too, as the many winners come in to choose their prize.
Nice.
So, the Auto Bookstore. Look them up.
Oh, yeah, great. I'm looking at their logo right now. It says 1841 right on their logo.
Oh, so
Nice.
they got after it.
Yes, they
changed it.
did.
There you go.
Okay, so maybe being a warrior mom isn't quite what you're looking for. Maybe you will draw some inspiration from these inspiring moms. From an article in littlethings.com comes 12 of the most inspiring moms. Again, we're not going to hit all of them, but we'll hit a few. Alberta Williams. She was born in 1904 and the only surviving child of her parents who were church pastors. She grew up and married Martin Luther King Sr. and gave birth to Martin Luther King Jr. MLK was not shy about praising his mother. In a letter written while he was in college in 1947, he wrote, I often tell the boys around the campus I have the best mother in the world. You will never know how much I appreciate the many kind things you and Daddy are doing for me. So far, I've gotten all the money, $5 a week, that she was sending me. Then there's Marie Curie. Now we featured Madame Curie on our pranksters episode.
That's right.
Remember?
That's right.
She actually had gone into a friend's house and nailed their shoes and furniture to the ceiling.
Right.
So
she's known for a lot of things.
Quite a woman. She was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize for scientific work. You may not know that she was also a terrific mom. She gave birth to daughters Irene in 1897 and Eve in 1904. Irene followed her mother into scientific work as a chemist, like her mother, and she also died of radiation exposure, like her mother.
Oh, and that's a tough death.
Eve became a journalist and most notably published her mother's biography. Marie Curie never married again after her husband and scientific partner Pierre was killed in a street accident in 1908, which means that she raised her daughters as a single mother.
Wow,
so
that is an
inspiring
inspiration.
To be able to do all that she did and raising two daughters who grew up to go on to some fame of their own. Abigail Adams, born in 1744, was the mother of 5 and a strong advocate for women. In letters to her husband, John Adams, during the Constitutional Convention, she would continually remind him to, quote, remember the ladies. She firmly believed that girls should be afforded the same educational opportunities as boys. She, along with Barbara Bush, are the only 2 women to have been the wife of one president and the mother of another one.
Cool.
Yep.
And I like that. Remember the ladies.
Remember the ladies. Now, you might have heard the name Josephine Baker. She was an African-American / French singer, dancer, and entertainer during the 1920s and 30s, and was also part of the French resistance during World War II. She, I believe, was born in America, but also had ties in French and actually went there during the war to be a part of the resistance. She was also a terrific mother, adopting 12 children from around the world. She lovingly referred to them as her rainbow tribe. She wanted to demonstrate that people with different skin colors could live harmoniously together.
Amen to
Oh,
Good
yes.
job, Josephine Baker. Now, you might not be familiar with the name Dana Suskind, but she's best known for starting up the pediatric cochlear implant program at the University of Chicago. This program has made a profound difference in the lives of thousands of children who were born without the ability to hear. But she's also the mother of a household of smart young minds who are also wanting to impact the world. You see, her husband Donald died heroically after he had tried to save 2 children from drowning in a strong current in Lake Michigan. The incident inspired her 13-year-old daughter to start a new program for other children who have lost their parents. It's called Surviving Life After Parent Death. So,
Way to
inspiring
go.
mother.
Wow, what a family.
And you might be familiar with the United States Senator from Illinois, Senator Tammy Duckworth. She's a decorated veteran who lost both of her legs when the Black Hawk helicopter she was flying in Iraq was hit by sniper fire. After her military career ended, she became a first-time mom at the age of 46.
Wow.
She now has 2 children. Her experience of traveling with small children influenced her to sponsor the Friendly Airports for Mothers Act, which makes it easier for traveling mothers to breastfeed their children.
Way to go.
Wow.
Tammy.
Okay, so we're going to finish out with a couple other stories of heroic moms, which, you know, some of those women were heroic as well. But our first one is Joy Varon, a 30-year-old Texas elementary school teacher. She was 30 years old when she was on vacation with her family in Colorado. She and her husband decided to take one last trip to the hot springs with their 3 kids before heading home. And she was also, I think her parents were both on this vacation as well. So Chloe, then 7, Annie, 5, and Elliot, 2, were very excited to go for one last swim. They ran ahead of the adults and climbed into the family's SUV. Somehow in them jumping into the car, the gear slipped, and the vehicle began to roll straight to the edge of a cliff.
Wow.
It was in danger of rolling off the cliff into a deep canyon below. So with no time to do anything else, Joy ran after the SUV and threw herself in front of it, hoping to stop the vehicle. I just saw complete fear, Joy later told Oprah. I remember their little eyes were so huge, looking at me like, help me, do something. So the SUV kept moving, dragging Joy beneath its tires. It ran completely over her, but it was slowed enough so that Joy's father, the kid's grandfather, could jump inside and set the brake just in time to prevent it from going over the cliff.
Wow.
Joy survived the ordeal, but was paralyzed from the waist down and was never able to walk again. She did, however, return to teaching and remain very close to her children, who see her as their hero.
Wow, what a story. That's amazing.
The next one is Sarah McKinley. Life had gotten really tough for this mom. She was a very young mom. She was only 19 years old in late 2011 when her husband died of lung cancer. I believe he was a lot older than her, leaving her to care for their 3-month-old son all alone. So she lived in a pretty secluded place in rural Oklahoma, and I saw some pictures, and her driveway was very long. It was in the middle of nowhere. So there was nobody just knocking on the door.
No close neighbors. Yeah.
Right. So Sarah was home on New Year's Eve of that year when she heard someone trying to break into her home. As the two would-be intruders were going from door to door trying to find a way in, Sarah grabbed her 12-gauge shotgun, went into her bedroom where her son was, and put a bottle in the baby's mouth. She then also grabbed a pistol and called 911. According to ABC News, "I've got 2 guns in my hand. Is it okay to shoot him if he comes in this door?" Sarah asked the 911 dispatcher. "I'm here by myself with my infant baby. Can I please get a dispatcher out here immediately?" The 911 operator confirmed with McKinley that the doors to her home were locked, as she asked again if it was okay to shoot the intruder if he were to come through her door. "I can't tell you that you can do that, but you do what you have to do to protect your baby," the dispatcher told her. McKinley was on the phone with 911 for a total of 21 minutes, all while the intruders tried to gain access.
Wow.
Finally,
a long time. 21 minutes.
21 minutes. Finally, Justin Martin. And Justin Martin is this guy, I can't remember how old I think he was in his early 20s. He had actually not really stalked her, but had seen her, had talked to her, and actually had come by the day of her husband's funeral to kind of like let her know that he was in the neighborhood and that he would help. Yes. Yeah. So Justin Martin was the main guy, and he had his cohort, Dustin Stewart. Justin was able to kick in the door of her home, and they both came in. Martin came at Sarah with a 12-inch hunting knife. She shot and killed him. And then Stewart fled the scene. Dustin Stewart soon turned himself into police. No charges were filed against Sarah McKinley. And you got to remember, she's 19 years old at this time. No charges were filed for protecting herself from her son, Dustin Stewart. And this I found was interesting, was charged with murder for his role in the incident. "I wouldn't have done it," she said, "but it was my son," McKinley told ABC News. "It was not an easy decision to make, but it was either going to be him or my son, and it wasn't going to be my son. There's nothing more dangerous than a woman with a child."
Amen.
So, happy Mother's Day to Sarah.
Right?
And now it's time, boys and girls, for the Trivia Challenge.
All right, so that brings us to our trivia challenge. Now, Harbin Gould is our number one fan, and he answers a lot of our trivia challenge questions. But this is a question that he came up with.
Good luck, everybody else.
Right, everybody else has a chance now.
So, again, with mothers, in 2011, the 61-year-old mother did the impossible for her daughter, son-in-law, and grandson. What is her name, and what did she do? And you know how this goes. Number 1, you like and follow our Facebook page. Number 2, like and share this episode, Hello Mother, this episode post, and put your answer to the trivia challenge question in the comments of that post, and the first person to do all of that will be the winner and will be mentioned in an upcoming episode of Remnant Stew.
Never-ending accolades.
Remnant Stew is created by me, Leah Lamp. Dr. Stephen Meeker and I research, write, and host each episode. Judy Meeker lends a hand with our research as well as handling our bookshop spot info. Our audio is produced by Philip Sinquefield. Theme music is by Kevin MacLeod with voiceover by Morgan Hughes. You can connect with us through our Facebook and Instagram or through our email at staycurious@remnantstew.com. Let us know of any topics you'd like to hear us cover, or just say hi. We'd love to hear from you.
We love hearing from
Absolutely.
you for sure. Now, before you go, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss an episode. Please take the time to give us a review on iTunes. There's a convenient link on our website to make it easy for you. Share Remnant Stew with your mom, dad, brother, sister, and that one weird cousin that's kind of scary. Until the next time, please choose to be kind and always stay curious.